Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe in a resourceful feeling of calm and relaxation. And as you exhale, just allow your eyelids to close, completely relaxed, and to feel feelings of tension leave your body in your outward breath. So much so that as you breathe in and breathe out, don't be surprised if the breaths become longer, deeper, breathing in more of that feeling of resourceful relaxation. And as you exhale, allowing feelings of stress or tension to feel like it's leaving your body in your outward breath. That's it, breathing in and breathing out. And I want you to get a sense that pressure that's been building up, perhaps over weeks or even months, is now being released in your outward breath. As you breathe in, take 2 breaths in. The first breath, a normal breath, and then a second breath to really expand your lungs, activate your diaphragm, so that as you breathe out, you can breathe out longer than you normally would, feeling that you are releasing any pent-up pressure that's been building up inside. And maybe your mind, as you think of pressure building up, is thinking of a pressure cooker or an old industrial engine. And consider that long outward breath almost like a release valve. That as you have that long outward breath, pressure is being released, enabling you to fully and deeply relaxed. I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine you are in a country with a view of an incredible mountain. Maybe there are blue skies. Maybe you can feel the sun on your skin. And I want you to imagine just seeing this large mountain off into the distance. I want you to imagine that this mountain is not an easy mountain to climb, but that is what makes it desirable for you. I want you to imagine that there are stages to climbing this mountain. There is a base camp. There is halfway up the mountain. There is reaching 3/4 of the way up the mountain. And finally you have the summit. And I want you to think about this mountain in terms of what it would represent for each of these stages being a milestone. I want you to think that maybe base camp might be to weigh the lightest you've weighed in the last year. And maybe halfway up the mountain is represented with being the lowest you've been in the last 5 years. As you look up at the mountain, just imagine seeing a ridge or some kind of visible element of the mountain that represents milestone 3, the lowest that you would have weighed in about a decade, maybe 11 years. And then finally, the summit. Perhaps your ideal weight. And I want you to accept the idea that you can't get to halfway up the mountain without passing base camp. And you can't get 3/4 of the way up the mountain unless you've passed the halfway point. Therefore, you're still climbing the same mountain, but each stage represents success. I want you to imagine there, under the sunshine, there is a comfortable chair. Imagine placing yourself on that comfortable chair. I will count down from 10 to 1, and with each descending number, you will feel 10% deeper and deeper relaxed. This chair doesn't even belong in this place with views of a mountain, and yet here it is, this comfortable chair, perhaps a reclining chair, there out in nature, breathing in the fresh air, and place yourself on that chair. Make yourself comfortable. As you focus on the muscles around your eyelids, eyebrows, and around your eyes. As you take a deep breath in, just imagine 10, that the muscles around your eyes are releasing any and all tension. In your outward breath, just release that tension and feel a wonderful feeling of becoming more relaxed. And then 9, focus on the muscles in your forehead. Think about facial expressions like concern, surprise. As you breathe in that wonderful feeling of resourcefulness, decide that now is the time to release any tension in your forehead. Breathe out and feel it leaving your body. 8, now focusing on the muscles around your jaw all the way up to your ears. Breathe in and breathe out. Perhaps you can remember the last time you had a really good yawn. And maybe as you recall that fantastic yawn, you can think about what it would feel like to yawn. And you don't need to yawn right now to feel how good it would feel to imagine yawning as you loosen the muscles around your jaw, feeling deeper and deeper relaxed. That's it. 8 goes to 7. Now focus on the muscles in your neck and your shoulders, still there on that chair out in nature, still seeing the mountain off into the distance. Breathing in and breathing out, and just release that tension, that stress around your neck and your shoulders. Feeling deeper and deeper relaxed, and feel 7 going to 6. That relaxation extends down your arm, all the way down to the tips of your fingers. I want you to feel your entire arm, from your shoulder to your bicep to your forearm to your fingers, releasing that tension now. So your arms can feel limp, loose, and heavy. That's it. As you breathe in, focus on your nostrils, your windpipe, your chest, and your lungs, feeling that breathing is becoming easier now, feeling more and more deeply relaxed, as that 5 enables your internal organs to also relax. Feel your heart relaxing, lungs relax, stomach, even your diaphragm all the way down into your gut, relaxing now. 5 goes to 4, 10% deeper and deeper relaxed. Any anxiety, any tightness in your gut, feel that being released now. 3, going into your legs. Legs feeling limp, loose, heavy, almost like your legs are like your arms, like a puppet with no strings. Limp, loose, heavy, that's it. deeply relaxed now. 3 goes to 2. Feel any muscles in your calf, down into your ankles, releasing any tension. Even allow your toes to relax. 2 goes to 1. And I want you to imagine what it would feel like to drift off to sleep there in that chair. Not actually sleep, just imagine what it would be like to sleep in such a relaxed way that you can dream that you're making your way to climb the mountain. I want you to think of what kind of subtle changes, call them standards, rules, or just new choices that you're willing to do long enough for them to be part of who you are. And perhaps one of those rules is that you don't need to snack in the evenings anymore. That if snacking in the evening is because you're bored, you can find something else to do. And if it's because you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed, then actually breathing in and breathing out, especially outside, maybe going for a walk, would help you deal with that emotion better than food would anyway. When you eat to deal with an emotion, the benefits last about 5 minutes. When you go for a walk to deal with an emotion, the benefits last for hours. And just imagine making that change. No other change. Just that. On a regular day, 5 p.m. is your last meal of the day. And any hunger you feel after that point is music to your ears, because it means you are training your body to seek out energy stored in your body fat cells. That one of the best things you can do is to fall asleep while hungry, knowing that while you sleep, your body is going to be diligently feeding on your body fat cells to give you energy. Breathing in and breathing out, and feel that you've made it to base camp. And I want you to imagine there are scales at base camp. Imagine standing on the scales and seeing that it says 94.9 kilograms. And feel a sense of pride and satisfaction as you feel how you would feel to be your lowest weight in the last year. I want you to feel that this doesn't feel like a finishing line, just base camp for the next leg of your journey. And I want you to imagine what it would be like, perhaps, to reduce the amount of refined carbohydrates you have in your meals. You're still having breakfast, lunch and dinner. You're still enjoying eating in that window. But now you feel that you're reducing the amount of refined carbohydrates, and that when you eat out, particularly for social gatherings, you're making the best choices you can. Maybe it's lean proteins, maybe fresh vegetables. The desserts are options, not requirements. Maybe imagine drinking more water as the main drink with your meal, and feel a wonderful sense of pride that you are becoming the ideal version of you. And imagine doing that for several weeks, not just once or twice, but becoming consistent, almost like it's a standard, a silly rule, just a way that you do things. And then imagine arriving at milestone 2 on the mountain. Again, there's some scales there. They're on that mountainside. And imagine it showing you being 92 kilograms or under. Perhaps the lowest you've been in the last 5 years. Feel a surge of accomplishment, pride, but also the feeling you have when you are living high standards. Some people would call it being discerning. In so many areas of your life, you unconsciously make great choices simply because that is who you are. And as that expands into your food choices, you feel the wonderful feeling of being discerning in this area of your life too. You know what it's like to have standards, to create a culture, to do things a certain way, and it's just this is expanding into your personal life as to how you are with food. So see the weight on the scales, feel a sense of accomplishment and satisfaction, and then feel it's time to go on the next leg of the journey, to get under 90 kilograms. At this point, you've already lost weight, so maybe you're being more active, going for longer walks, drinking more water. Maybe even when you celebrate, you're celebrating with healthy choices. You don't need to be perfect, because perfection doesn't exist. Just making good choices most of the time, enjoying those social gatherings, enjoying eating on holidays, and feeling that you embrace the temptations, because that's when you get the feelings of pride that come from knowing you could do something but choosing not to. And maybe you can imagine doing this for several weeks or months, maintaining the standards of before and raising them ever so slightly. Maybe your walks are turning into jogs. Maybe you've set yourself a new physical challenge to accomplish. And as you do those things, feel the wonderful feeling that as your weight decreases, your confidence and self-esteem increases. I want you to imagine when you're climbing this mountain, there are the occasional setbacks. There are the occasional moments of bad weather on the mountain. But this is what will activate feelings of determination, tenacity, and resilience within you. You are not one to give up easily. The setbacks are simply setbacks, not permission to slide all the way down the mountain, but an opportunity to reflect, to consider, to pick yourself back up and continue on your journey. Breathe in and breathe out and feel you've made it to milestone 3, 3/4 of the way up the mountain. The scales are there, and see the weight, the lowest you've been in over a decade. That by having high fiber, high protein food, by having your last meal of the day fairly early, you have trained your body to burn fat. Your body now knows it can take energy from your body fat cells whenever it needs it. You have no desire for refined carbohydrates and excessive processed foods. You enjoy healthy, natural foods. Eat them slowly. Enjoy them. And notice there is one final leg of your challenge, and you can see the summit. And the fact that it's not easy is what makes it most appealing for you. Imagine how good you would feel being the slimmest and healthiest you've been in perhaps 25 years. And part of climbing this mountain is making the adjustment that these things that you've been doing don't require discipline anymore. These are just your standards. These are just who you are and what you do. That you are building a culture within yourself. That setbacks are just blips, things you learn from. There is no failure, only feedback. That nothing will stop you reaching the top of this mountain. Breathing in and breathing out, and feel that steady progress is being made. You enjoy those evening walks. You have many different ways of dealing with overwhelm and stress, intense emotions that have nothing to do with food. You enjoy those holidays or big weekend gatherings, because in order to build high standards, the standards need to be tested. There is a big difference between choosing and feeling a compulsion. Any unhealthy choices you're making are a choice. And as you continue to make those healthy choices, feel yourself climbing the mountain until finally you reach the summit. And at the summit, I want you to imagine is a full-length mirror. I want you to imagine what you will look like when you get to 85 kilograms. See yourself looking healthy, confident, high self-esteem, but a sense of accomplishment. And realize that the summit of this mountain was not the finishing line. This is the foundation. The bigger test is to maintain everything that you've earned and built. Sometimes cultures can be established and then lost. But I want you to feel that because you've built this, you've earned it, you want to protect it. Breathing in and breathing out and feeling what it feels like to not have seen this as a challenge with the finishing line, but as a way of training you to have high standards that exist in your life, that your food choices, your ways of dealing with intense emotions are now hardwired to be healthy, empowering, and useful for you. And I want you to imagine that even 5 years from now, you imagine that these habits that were built on this journey still exist years into the future. I want you to imagine walking back down the mountain, feeling it's easier to go down than it is to go up, but feeling what it would feel like to maintain those high standards all the way down, to return all the way to a chair with a view of the mountain, and to see a version of you fast asleep. Imagine stepping into that version so you are now on the chair, that the conscious and the unconscious are synchronized, reconciled, and you keep these wonderful standards with you as you return to the present, taking a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Returning to the present, wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. As very soon I count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. You will awaken feeling resourceful, with a clear vision of a future, and more importantly, subtle changes you can make to make immediate progress. Starting to count to awaken you. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.